Hi, everyone, and welcome back to episode 8 of Feng Shui Talks. We're going to be joined by Whitney Jane, and she's going to be here. Her and I are going to be talking all about spirituality and business and bridging the two. All right. Hi, Jess. Nice to see you jumping on. Hey. And Hampton, hey, Stephanie. How are you today? Now, my background is coming from education in business. So I studied bachelor's of business administration, majoring in human resources, minoring in finance. And I know that Whitney also, hey Whitney, has a business education background as well. Through the years, there we go, added to my repertoire with energy healing modalities, and therefore it really led me to this path of Feng Shui. So I'm here with Whitney. Hi, Whitney. How are you?
Hey Jess, I'm well. How are you?
Really, really, really well too. Uh, and I was just doing like a little bit of an intro on today's conversation, which is going to be all about bridging business and spirituality. Um, in
Yes.
many ways, they seem like two totally separate things. However, there's so much interconnected, and bridging the gap between the two is something that we're going to really dive into and uncover. So I'm broadcasting from Hampton, New Brunswick, Canada, over on the East Coast. Whitley, where are you joining from?
I am actually joining in from Toronto, Ontario.
Yeah, so like Central Canada, for those who may be joining us that aren't from Canada or even North America, who may not be familiar with the geology, but it's really wonderful to have you here and to really dive into this topic because, like I mentioned, like I began with business education. I went to university and did business administration. I followed, all the shoulds and learned a ton of information. However, there was a part of myself that felt like there was so much more that I wanted to share with the world. And
Mhm.
so through the years, I've then learned more about the spirituality and the spirit side of things so that I feel more whole and balanced and well. And so I'm showing up with both hats and really merging them together. So I'd love to hear about your experience with business and spirituality and how you see them and bridging the two of them together.
Yeah. First of all, thanks so much for having me on the show, Jess. I'm really, really looking forward to this. Two of my favorite things, business and spirituality, and just kind of bringing it all together is it's really exciting for me because right now I'm actually in the midst of really kind of like coming out of the spiritual closet, especially when it comes to my own business. So there's so much to it, but at the same time, I feel like it's such a transformational time because it's taking two sides of things and really bringing it together into full alignment. And really,
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to. It's really about taking everything, the essence of who you are, all of the things that you're able to do and that you're really, really good at, and putting it all together.
Yeah.
And I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on that later, but just to
Mm.
kind of give people a background of who I am and what I do.
Totally.
Yeah. So like Jess, I have a business, I have a background in business. Marketing is what I majored in.
Cool.
So for the past like 10 years, I've been in the world of marketing, social media marketing, branding, growing your business, business development, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So and it's interesting because I feel like there's this masculine side and then there's like
Yes,
the feminine side of the spirituality, right? So I
absolutely.
come from like having such like masculine energy,
Yeah.
being very goal oriented and always wanting to have a plan and have everything kind of like laid out, right? Um, so that's really like who I've always been, was like,
Yeah.
just that type of personality. And that works really well with business. But
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so for me, I took, you know, my business background, my marketing background, and I really wanted to set out and pave my own path as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So in doing so, I had no idea, Jess, that I was going to be signing up for this path of like personal development, spiritual development, all of this stuff.
Right?
But it has been such an amazing blessing. Um, Overall, it's taught me so much, and it has opened me up to being who I truly am at the core. Like, I've learned so much about myself. And anybody who's on that entrepreneurial journey, whether you're like new or, you know, you're seasoned, you guys will know exactly what I mean. Like, entrepreneurship is very much a path of personal development, and really, you know, it's hurdles and challenges, and there's ups and there's achievements, but it's one of the most rewarding and challenging paths, because you will learn so much and you'll experience so much too. So for me personally, I am very, very passionate about business, but I'm very, very passionate about helping others really step into their authentic power. And by stepping into their authentic power, what I see is you know, change makers, healers, light workers, heart-centered entrepreneurs really stepping into what they're good at and creating thriving businesses where they're impacting people, they're creating income for themselves, and essentially freedom, right? It's
Absolutely.
really
Yeah.
it's like it's taking a detour off of like the path of the 9 to 5, and
Yeah.
really understanding like who we are, and stepping into that, and knowing like we all have a purpose, we all have a calling, and aligning to that. And that, I feel like,
Absolutely.
is where the spirituality aspect really blends in nicely.
Yeah. That's like the flow, right? Like, and I'm a firm believer that we don't have to compromise either on our personal goals and where we want to show up in the world. So when I say that, it's having a career, having a family simultaneously.
Mm.
And I know that you and I have had a few conversations back and forth. Even this morning, I was saying, oh, yes, I just got the kids onto the bus. You
Yeah.
know, I'm about to drive my daughter to her babysitter. And then, you know, I sign off at the end of the day at 2:30, because then I meet the kids off the bus at the end of their day, and bringing them home. So I get to do the two, like, and I think that this is like where we're at in the world, is that we have these opportunities and these options to do both. We don't have to choose. We don't have to compromise. We can feel alignment, because
Mm.
I know when I'm doing my thing and sharing my calling with Feng Shui, I am a better mom. They get to see me at my best and in my
Mhm.
fullest. And likewise, like when they're feeling good and I'm, you know, in it with them, I bring that too to my business side. So it's like this really beautiful flow and that flexibility as well. And I think coming from the business and more of like the masculine side of things, force versus ease and flow, you know, bringing them both together and integrating that into our life, and into our business, of course, is a prime reflection of that, is such a beautiful thing. And it's just, it offers that inspiration too, I think, for a lot of others to see that this is possible, and that more than that, that you can thrive in this and
Mhm.
feel successful and be successful and do all the things that really feel good to you, and that alignment, and that resonates with so many others as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think you said it so well, Jess, was, you know, how you show up in your business and how you show up in, you know, your family life, your home life, all
Mhm.
of like, it really, like, when you're showing up as your most authentic self, I'm gonna go
Yeah,
back to that a little bit.
definitely.
When you're showing up as your most authentic self and you're aligning that in all across all areas, it really
Mhm.
does like bring this harmony. It really like
Yes.
pairs the masculine, the feminine, and it really like it really does bring everything into like this beautiful harmonization in your life.
Yeah.
And I think that there's, and I would love to hear what the audience
Yeah.
has to say about this.
We
But
have a
I feel
question.
like, yeah, I feel like there's this misconception, and it has been this type of like belief, this thought system that we've had over so many years, that like in order to be successful in business, in order to be successful in life, like you have to work hard, you have to put in all these hours, you have to sacrifice things, like it's going to take a long time. But really, it's not like that. It doesn't have to be like that. And that is the approach that I took toward my business in the beginning. Again, like that heavy masculine energy. Totally. But over time, as I like really opened up to my own faith and my spiritual practices, I really began to understand that there is this energy around us. And when we align ourselves to this energy, it really doesn't have to be hard. It's really just a matter of like aligning ourselves to what it is that we desire, what it is that we're creating in this world, and flowing with it. There's always this like this, you know, this push type of energy. And that to me is like, it's repelling, right? But when you just surrender and you allow the flow to take you downstream to where you're supposed to go, as opposed to swimming against the current, life becomes so much more joyful, you know, again, harmonious. Thank you. And just it's almost like this ease, and it really flows into other areas of your life, not just your business. But you will see how it flows into your home life, your marriage, your relationships, everything. And that is why, you know, spirituality for me is like the foundation, is my rock.
I hear you.
So I'm curious to know, like, for the audience, what's your perspective on that? You know, what are your beliefs when it comes to spirituality and business, when it comes to, you know, working really, really hard, versus kind of like aligning yourself to what it is you want to create, and then flowing with that, surrendering.
Yes, there's this beautiful practice that I also, and this kind of goes to your question too, La Mermaid Noire. How do you balance both with ease and flow? I feel it's all mentality. A mindset is like I feel like that's a major component. It's not everything, but it is a very major component. And accepting the what is. Yes. And I think that motherhood and career, absolutely. Well, and even, you know, bringing it back to what we were talking about before, like they're one and the same in a sense, right? And we having this balance, whatever that looks like to you. And that's the thing too, is the balance is going to look different for everyone. For me, it's setting certain hours and time that I know my children are off to school. They do go to public school, so there's some flexibility there for myself, and using that time then to partake in activities that fuel me, like this, for example. You know, having Feng Shui Talks here on Instagram is just this one beautiful opportunity where I can connect with like-minded individuals like Whitney, and these experiences, like I said, fuel myself, it fuels my business, it fuels my family, because it's in alignment with my own authenticity. But knowing yourself, or the more, I feel like the older I get, the more experience I have to knowing what feels good to me and what doesn't, or what resonates and what doesn't feel like an alignment, is really great at kind of having that, not observation, but the assessment, I guess, of where I'd like to go with things. Because I'm very much of an ease and flow type gal. I mean, this is why I do Feng Shui, is bringing in that spirituality component as well. When I first started my own business, it was very much in the mindset of how does things look. I began in interior design, and it's a much more masculine type energy of creating spaces, but it's a little more forceful, and it's not as much, you know, this flowiness that I really enjoy and benefits myself and my clients as well. But balancing the two on your terms, right, I think is a really important thing. So I love this practice of setting our intention and then allowing in, and there's a big part of that is the surrendering as well, you know, and allowing all the good auspicious energy to come then into your space and into your life to really give you that energy boost of that positivity as well. Relates to the mindset for sure. Our body, our emotions, looking at our spiritual sense. I mean, we have so many different avenues to look at when we're looking at balancing our lives. I would say very much to your point as well, Whitley, is when I first started business, the spirituality component wasn't there. It wasn't built into my life. There was no room for it at the time, which led to depression. It led to overeating, like self-sabotaging, because there was this really important part of myself that I wasn't giving space or time to or attention to. So
Mhm.
big part of that. And those that, you know, are aligned with myself and, you know, the like-minded individuals, this is like that missing component, or that component that's so key to creating that foundation. As you mentioned, the rock in your life, like to hold that groundedness, right? And
Right, right.
so you have that orientation of where you want to go as well.
I'm
Yeah.
so curious about this because I feel like I can totally relate to what you were just saying about how when you first started off in business, Jess,
Yeah.
you didn't have that spiritual component. And eventually, what it led to was almost like a burnout,
Oh,
depression, and you
yeah.
experience all of that.
Yes.
And I've experienced something very, very similar to that. Okay. And
Yeah.
the same type of thing too is like I was going at business in a way where I thought I was supposed to show up. Right.
Right.
And there was a lot of
Yeah.
fear and a lot of resistance in showing up with that spirituality part of who I was. Right.
Yeah.
There's so much judgment out there in the world. There's so
Yeah.
much judgment, there's so much fear, there's so much these standards and expectations to live up to. And when you're putting yourself out there as a business owner, you're automatically putting yourself out there to be even more judged, right? And
Vulnerable.
so
Yeah.
and so like, you know, when we have these fears and insecurities to show up with, again, quote unquote, that authenticity, right? Your real self, it really puts this like sort of dimmer on your being, on your spirit,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I too, I did the same thing, and I went
Yeah.
through depression and a lot of other just, you know, really
Mm-hmm.
hard things and hard challenges in order for me to actually be like, okay, Whitley, there is a part of you who you're hiding right now
Right.
that's not feeling good to your soul, is not feeling good for you, and you know what you need to do. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, bridging my spirituality with my business and knowing that, okay, yes, I'm a business coach and I will help you,
Yeah.
you know, grow a business, start a business, grow a business. But I'm also have this feminine, intuitive and spiritual
Yeah.
side of me where I am able to help people even on a deeper level.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
and there's these, I have spiritual gifts in terms of being able to read others' energy.
Yes.
And that was a part of me that was hiding, that was like
Mm-hmm.
holding back so much.
Yeah.
And knowing like, and I'm going to go back to you because you said you started off with interior design,
Yeah.
right? And then now
Yeah. Oh,
you're
yeah.
doing like more feng shui, right? And
Yeah.
it's incorporating a little more spiritual
Both. Yep.
aspects of yourself, right?
That's right.
So I'm just curious, like when you went through that, Jess, do you really
Yep.
feel like it was some fear? Like where did that, was it
Oh,
fear
yeah.
or things that were
Yeah.
holding you back?
Oh, for sure. Not you know, not my whole life for sure. I mean, you know, there's this time when you're a child and you're innocent and you're pure and you've got this, you know, jubilance. I mean, I see it in my children. They're 7, 5, and 3, and they're just like little beacons of light.
Mm,
And I mean, they're incredible and awesome. But then it's like you know, through social conditioning, for me, it was parenthood. I had a lot of not necessarily judgment, but here's where you should go because we want you to feel safe and secure. So I had gone down, you know, path of, you know, of course, obtaining my business degree, which led me to a career in the federal government. That's where my light just kind of kept going dark, like dimming more and more, because again, I didn't have that space in my life to do the things that I felt like were in alignment. I was doing the things that I thought I was expected of me. And it's interesting because then I started practicing meditation and yoga and all these different energy healing practices. I mean, I started studying Ayurveda. I'm a very open person. So, I mean, like, I'll go down any path
I
and
love
take, yeah,
that.
oh, like, I'll go down any path. I have gone down like like many paths to figure out, like, what does it feel like? And
Yeah.
understanding what energy feels like, and from my perspective and in my own intuitive like spiritual gifts as well. And so through that, I've learned, oh, well, there's this whole other side of the world that I haven't even acknowledged or had given attention to before, because I was in a very masculine, you have to do this, you have to do that. But really, like deep down, having that, like paving your own way, that was
Mhm.
a term you had mentioned before. Or I really feel that, as women, as, an entrepreneur, of course, like we're doing things on our terms and what feels good to us. And, taking all the advice and suggestions and recommendations from others is really to help support and serve your mission, your goal, your authentic self. So taking little bits here and there that feel good and using that, because we all have that intuitive gift of knowing. And well, maybe I'm just like generalizing here, but focusing on that and accentuating that and enhancing that to be the compass, the guide for where
Mhm.
you're meant to go and who you're going to serve and in what way. To me, it's all what feels good. I mean, I'm a very physical person, so I feel it in my body. And when it feels good, I feel expansive. I feel bright. It lifts me up. When it's not something that's in alignment with me, I feel like I concave,
Yeah.
and I kind of start to close in a little bit more. So just even finding, like, tuning into that is really, really important for myself. I want to go back to, there's a few questions here. Um,
I like questions.
I love this. This is wonderful. You guys are
I'm
so
seeing
vocal,
so
and I
many
love it.
comments pop up
Yeah,
here too. This is
this is
awesome.
the most engagement. I love it. This is fantastic.
It's awesome.
Spirituality is the key to abundance in all areas of life. I would agree. I
Mhm.
would agree with you there as well. Um, and Archie, business is more about putting what we believe in physical form, and spirituality is the fuel for life. Beautiful.
Oh, I
I
love that. That was
Isn't
so
that,
good.
oh, that's wonderful. And
Hmm.
Jess at Spiral Beauty. Yes, same. My recent post speaks about this too. I'm going to check that out. You ladies are amazing. Thank you so much, Jess. We have to know what we don't want to know. We want to know what we don't want to. Oh, do I? Yeah. I hear what you're saying, Jess. Yes. And I'm not sure if you're familiar, Whitley, with Abraham Hicks.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
okay. And she talks about the contrast and how it's important to understand contrast in our life to know what we don't want. And this is what Jess is saying, like what we
Mhm.
don't want and what we do want. And I feel like when I look back on my experiences, I have it with so much gratitude because it really showed me what wasn't in alignment and what didn't fit with my authentic self, my purpose, my mission, and my life path. And so that's beautiful. LA Mermaid Noir, tell us about some house feng shui that help you stay grounded.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
There's so many different shifts and practices that we can implement into our home from a practical standpoint to feel grounded.
Mhm.
Um, Certainly, I would recommend you looking at your own space, even from where you're seated right now, and seeing, just kind of interacting with your space and seeing how it feels to you. Again, to kind of have that starting point and that baseline of, creating that connection as well, and strengthening the connection with our environment. Then going around and what feels good to you. I would kind of flip it around and say, well, what makes you feel grounded? For myself, it's being out in nature. So with that, I have a lot of wood around me. I have my plants here as well that help me feel grounded. I always have my pothos right here, who's like totally thriving. I have crystals around me as well that help me feel grounded in my spirituality. I mean, I've got an amethyst with a nice little owl on top, which was a gift from my mother. There's like a whole host of different ways and that we could approach this, but I would encourage you to build that strength of that knowing and that connection with your space, and then start shifting. Like it kind of shifts the perspective on how your space is supporting you. Yeah.
Yes. And shout out to Alicia. I see you, girl. She actually introduced me to sage like a few weeks ago, and
I
I
love that.
absolutely love it.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's wonderful. I'm looking around because I'm like, where's my sage? I've got, I, we have sage in our home too, and we use this all the time. It is such a grounding practice. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I like to set up an altar with sage and fruit offerings for positive energy. Wonderful. I think that is
Hmm.
absolutely beautiful. Sage is a really great way to clear and cleanse the energy in your home. And if you're ever feeling like a bit off, like lighting it and walking around, I mean, doing what you intuitively feel pulled to do is a really, really great practice. And again, building that connection with these tools that we have accessible to us. Um, I'm going to introduce Palo Santo now to you, Whitley. I don't know if you've heard of
Yeah.
Palo Santo. So
Who?
Palo
What's?
Santo, it's a like a little stick. It's a piece of holy wood, is what it's called, and you burn it at the end, similar to sage. And its intention and purpose is to attract and bring in positive energy. So you could kind of do sage and Palo Santo like in the same sort of practice, or just one or the other, just kind of what you're feeling, right? But
Like,
sage, absolute, I love sage. Sage is so beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful practice.
love it. Love it.
Yeah.
I wanted to actually like
Hmm.
ask, kind of like touch a little bit on intuition because you brought it up a
Yes.
few times, and I feel like this like totally,
Yes.
it's something that we all have, right? Intuition is something that we
Absolutely.
all have. It's either
Yeah.
we're awake to it or we're not awake to it, right?
Absolutely.
And I feel like it's such a driving force in my business now
Yes.
than it ever was.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, like anybody who's joining into the live or catching the replay later, how many of you actually use your own intuition to navigate your everyday life or even in your
Hmm.
business, like in business especially? And I would be super curious to know like how you use it in your business,
Yeah.
Jess.
My business, it I use this all the time. Intuition. I mean, through different spiritual practices, through feng shui, through, I feel like in all these different experiences has given myself this opportunity to develop my intuition. And with that, with business, it's huge because it guides me to whom I'm meant to connect with. So yourself, Whitley. I mean, we have a mutual friend, Sherry Brown, who I'm sure is going to catch the replay and do all the things. She's doing some really incredible things in her home right now.
I know.
Yeah. So, but like just following that and also having trust, like I adore Sherry and knowing that you're an extension of her, and it brings in that intuitive knowing that this is kind of where I want to go or be aligned with. I work with a business coach as well. In order for me to choose my business coach, I chose someone based on my intuition. She's incredible, and I feel so aligned with the community that she's created, which has put me in contact with Jess from Spiral Beauty, who's here commenting as well. And it's just creating this beautiful network, or tapping in and connecting to this beautiful network that's around us. Same with clients. I'm not meant to serve everyone. And I let go of that belief like a little while ago. I would say years ago, but maybe I'm saying no. So maybe like a year ago. Sounds a little more in line, but let go of the belief that I need to help everyone or serve everyone, and that's just not the case. So it's also understanding that I'm just sorry, I'm just reading the comments that are coming up.
I know.
They're so nice. But it's really just it's really fueling, yeah, those connections and the relationships that I'm forming, and it's the same for clients. And it's this respect and honor, and with their intuition as well, and giving space for this co-creation between the two of us, and with spirit, with so many beautiful areas. But intuition's huge. It's like I said, it's a skill that I've really been developing and cultivating for myself. And I apply it to my family, I apply it to my own health. It's this inner knowing that, and trusting that inner knowing that is going to guide me to where I'm meant to be. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's scary. Sometimes it is so scary, and sometimes it
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense at the time. But I will say, like, for me, it's very much the same. It's like my intuition guides my
Yeah.
life for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, like talking about like the masculine energy and then like the feminine energy, because I feel like the feminine is very much like trusting your intuition and
Yeah.
going with the flow of that.
That's right.
And then there's the masculine piece, which is like actually taking action, right?
Yes.
Doing the
Yes.
movement, which you need both. You most definitely need
Absolutely.
both. Um,
Absolutely.
and
Yes.
I feel like for as a business owner, it's how how I combine the
Mm-hmm.
two so that I'm balanced or staying balanced
Yes.
is really just being intentional on where is it that I
Yeah.
want to go? What is it that I'm desiring to create, right?
Yes.
And then there's the physical aspects, the physical action that I have to take in order to get there, but then also being open to
Yeah.
receiving that inspired action,
Absolutely.
being open
Yeah.
to, you know, the person who sends you a message and it's like, does this feel in alignment? Or it's like
Right.
a no-brainer.
That's
It's like,
right.
oh my goodness, this is totally an opportunity for me. Like
Exactly.
when you harness the both, it's so
Yeah.
so powerful, so
That's it.
powerful.
That's it. And I think, yeah, when we embrace both sides, it brings us into that alignment we were mentioning and our authentic self, but it puts us in these opportunities to take that inspired action. So this is absolutely beautiful. Before we end our live, I'd love to hear more about your energy readings because I saw also that you're going to be doing an energy reading for those who attend live in an hour and a half, I think it is. So I'd love to hear
Yeah.
more about this so that those who are turning in and even catching the replay can find out more about yourself and how to connect with you and work with you as well in this beautiful space.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. Yeah, so as I was sharing earlier, guys, I'm a business coach who helps other spiritual entrepreneurs really like grow their business, scale their impact and income. But I also, as I was saying, I have this other spiritual side where I'm
Yeah.
able to really read other people's energies, like
Yes.
understand where they're blocked mentally, emotionally, or energetically, to really help them release and move forward so that they can grow their businesses. So today is my first ever live stream that I'm hosting on Instagram, where I will be actually offering free energy readings and a little bit of like business tip strategy stuff to help
Yep.
you in your own business. But yeah, that's happening today. Again, I've been feeling this pull now, Jess, for oh my goodness, girl, like the longest time. And it's like, okay, again, the surrender, right?
Yeah.
I can't resist it anymore. So like I'm just surrendering and I'm saying, okay, I'm ready to show up in this type of way, in this format, and actually offer it to serving more, you know, beautiful souls out there who may need my guidance. And
Absolutely.
also just to kind of like give other people a little bit of like inspiration. It's like you have something in the world, and even if it's scary to show up, and if it's scary to like take the mask off and just show up as your authentic self, people out there need you. Your tribe is out there. So I welcome anyone, my tribe, whoever you are, to join me today at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be going live on my own Instagram. It's at Whitney Jane. And yeah, come hang out and maybe you'll get a energy reading.
Oh, that sounds so amazing. And I love that you mentioned too tribe because like in fear, because this plays a
Mm.
role in there as well. Here. Um, feel the fear and do it anyways. And that's something
Yes.
that I've got that locked in. So when there's something that comes up that's like, I don't know, should I not? It creates
I
that like
know.
anxious, nervousness, excited energy. Feeling it and doing it anyways. I've
Mm.
recognized myself that when that comes up, that means that I need to do it
Right?
to silence that fear and to kind of heal and clear and walk away from it. Because when we do that, we're able to step into more of our light and shine our light. So
So
thank you
true.
so much, Whitley. It was an absolute
Thank
pleasure to share this space with you and to hear more about yourself and connect more with your message and how you're showing up in this world. I think it's beautiful. It is absolutely necessary and needed. And I'm so glad that others were able to connect with this message here today. And please after, click follow onto Whitney Jane and stay tuned for some more awesome goodness coming. So thank you, Whitley.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Have a great day, guys. Bye.